Brittany Murphy, the Hollywood actress known most prominently for her roles in Clueless, 8 Mile and Sin City, died in mysterious circumstances in December 2009. The official verdict stated that the cause of her death was an accidental drug overdose, which was then changed to pneumonia and anemia, after her partner Simon Monjack died of the same causes only 5 months later. Their deaths seem to be inextricably linked, even if the LAPD never publicly announced they believed their deaths were indeed linked. Some people, including her mother Sharon Murphy, believe that toxic mold in her house was a large factor in the cause of death, but this claim was dismissed by the coroner's office. Brittany attended Vern Fowler School of Dance and Theatre Arts in Colonia, New Jersey in 1982. From the age of 4, she trained in singing, dancing and acting until her move to California at 13. Murphy made her Broadway debut in 1997 as Catherine in a revival of Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge opposite veteran actors Anthony LaPaglia and Allison Janney. Murphy landed her first job in Hollywood when she was 13, starring as Brenda Drexel in the series Drexel's Class. She then went on to play Molly Morgan in her short-lived The Torkelson spin-off Almost Home. Murphy also guest starred on several television series, including Parker Lewis Can't Lose, Blossom, Sequest 2032, Murder One and Frasier. She also had recurring roles on Sister Sister, Party of Five and Boy Meets World. Her breakthrough role was in her second feature film, the teen comedy Clueless, directed by Amy Heckerling, which went on to receive cult status. She followed this with roles in Freeway with Reese Witherspoon and Kiefer Sutherland and the independent comedy Bongwater. In 1999, she landed a supporting role in James Mangold's Girl Interrupted as a troubled psychiatric patient alongside Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie, and as an aspiring beauty queen in Drop Dead Gorgeous. She also voiced the character Luann Platter on Fox's animated sitcom King of the Hill for the entirety of the show's run from 1997 to 2009, and Joseph Gribble until the 5th season. She was nominated for an Annie Award for voice acting in the King of the Hill episode Moving On Up. In the early 2000s, Murphy lost a large amount of weight, which led to rumours of a cocaine addiction. In 2005, Murphy disputed such claims to Jane magazine, saying, "No, just for the record, I have never tried it in my entire life." At this point, she had recently signed as the spokesmodel for Jordache Jeans. In May 2007, Murphy married British screenwriter Simon Monjack in a private Jewish ceremony in Los Angeles. For the last 3.5 years of her life, Murphy, her mother and Monjack lived together in the same house. Brittany and Simon, but particularly Brittany, became very much reclusive. She hated the paparazzi and rarely left her home in the later stages of her life. They installed Fort Knox-style security in the Hollywood Hills mansion they shared. Simon became a suspect in her death, or at least people started to point fingers at him. He had huge debts of more than $500,000, including 2 warrants for his arrest for credit card fraud. But he was quoted as saying that, "I think the biggest misconception is that I was living off my wife. I was paying the bills. Brittany was making these god-awful films that went straight to DVD. So horrible that she wanted to kill herself." At 8 AM on December 20th, 2009, the Los Angeles Fire Department responded to a medical request at the Los Angeles home. She had apparently collapsed in a bathroom. Firefighters attempted to resuscitate Murphy on the scene. She was transported to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where she died at 10:04 after going into cardiac arrest. Shortly after her death, Assistant Chief Coroner Ed Winter told the Associated Press, "It appears to be natural. An autopsy was performed the day after she died. Her death certificate listed the cause of death as deferred." On February 4th, 2010, the Los Angeles County Coroner stated that the primary cause of Murphy's death was pneumonia, with secondary factors of iron deficiency or anemia and multiple drug intoxications. On February 25th, 2010, The coroner released a report stating that Murphy had been taking a range of over-the-counter and prescription medications, with the most likely reason being to treat a cold or respiratory infection. These included elevated levels of hydrocodone, acetaminophen and L-methamphetamine. All of the drugs were legal and the death was ruled to be an accident, but the report observed the possible adverse physiological effects of elevated levels of these medications, which cannot be discounted, especially in her weakened state. On December 24, 2009, Murphy was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills. On May 23, 2010, her widower Simon Monjack was found dead at the same Hollywood Hills residence. In July 2010, Los Angeles Assistant Chief Coroner Ed Winter stated that the cause of his death was acute pneumonia and severe anemia. It was reported that the Los Angeles County Department of Health had considered toxic mold in their house as a possible cause of the deaths, but this was dismissed by Ed Winter, who stated that there were no indicators that mold was a factor. Murphy's mother, Sharon, described the reports of mold contributing to the death as absurd and went on to state that inspecting the home for mold was never requested by the health department. In December 2011, Sharon Murphy changed her stance, announcing that toxic mold was indeed what killed her daughter and son-in-law, and filed a lawsuit against the attorneys who represented her in an earlier suit against the builders of the home where her daughter and son-in-law died. On January 11, 2012, her father, Angelo Bertolotti, applied to the Superior Court of California, requesting that the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office be required to hand over samples of his daughter's hair for independent testing. The suit was dismissed on July 19, 2012, after Bertolotti failed to show up to two separate hearings. In November 2013, Angelo Bertolotti claimed that a toxicology report showed that deliberate poisoning by heavy metals including antimony and barium was a possible cause of Brittany Murphy's death. Sharon Murphy described the claim as a smear. It's interesting to note that her cause of death was changed and eventually ruled as pneumonia and anemia. The coroner dismissed claims that mold could be the cause of, or at least a factor in her death. What the autopsy seemed to have ruled out could well have been the very thing that killed her and her husband. There is a type of pneumonia known as fungal pneumonia. It is rare, but nonetheless should not have been entirely ruled out, considering the level of cleanliness in Brittany's house, which isn't necessarily an indicator of mold. However, if mold was indeed growing inside her home, the spores from the fungi could have been collecting in her lungs, which can cause symptoms such as coughing that is non-productive, wheezing and pleuritic chest pain. Your body can usually remove the spores without much fuss, but if your body's immune system is compromised, the fungi spores can infect your lungs. The over-the-counter medications that were reported in the autopsy confirmed she was self-medicating respiratory problems, no doubt caused by the fungal pneumonia. Complications associated with fungal pneumonia include dissemination to other parts of the body, including the brain, liver, kidneys and blood vessel invasion. Having read other articles on pneumonia presenting as severe hemolytic anemia, which I have provided links to in the video description so you can read for yourself, I am inclined to believe, or in the very least consider fungi as the probable and ultimate cause of Brittany's death. I am not a clinical professional or fungi expert, but a little research has revealed things which were not considered in her autopsy. So, do you believe fungi spores had a role to play in the death of Brittany Murphy? Or do you believe the autopsy report was mostly correct, but missed a few clues along the way? Perhaps it was a combination of her medications, cleanliness and fungi spores, which would eventually lead her to collapse in the bathroom on that fateful day in December 2009. Rest in peace, Brittany. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, why not give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, why not subscribe so you don't miss the next exciting episode of Strangeries. Thanks for watching.